Well, howdy, cowboys, and welcome to Austin, Texas. Tonight we are racing in the United States of America, and joining you from the commentary box, I am Salim Haddad. Alongside me, Speed Quinn, welcoming you to the one before the last round in this current season in PSGL. Good evening, Speed Quinn. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. It's good to be here in commentary box, and of course looking at or watching the last two races of this season. Of course, both the constructors, both the drivers and the constructors' championships have been decided. Of course, last time out in Jeddah, Peter Vol had sealed the drivers' championship with a P2, and not sure when it was for the constructors, but I believe it might have been last race or the race before that where Haas sealed the constructors, which I never ever thought I'd say that in my life.
You know, life taught me something. Never say never. You never know when the unexpected can happen. This happened a few times when Pierre Gasly won in Monza, when Esteban Ocon won in Hungaroring. You always have to believe because there is always hope, and hope is the thing that keeps you going, race after race.
Yeah. It would have been good to see Peter Vol here, but it's already got a championship decided. He's already got that sealed to himself, so maybe it feels like he doesn't need to do any of the races. But for these guys, it's just all about the fun, all about just what league racing should be about, just enjoying your time, of course, because both constructors and drivers championships are decided in this tier. These guys are just here driving for fun and just maybe setting themselves some challenge. But of course there are some people still fighting for P2 in the championship. We have Slinky, Chris Hallett, Dan, Woolley, Provotox and Izenox. All six of them are still fighting for P2 in the championship. So for some of the other drivers who aren't fighting for that P2, it might just be having a little bit of fun. But for those six, they're still going to be battling pretty hard. And if I was to say a favourite for that, of course, Slinky is in a prime position. But someone who's really came into their own in the second half of their season is Izenox. He might be quite a way behind Slinky, but in the last two races he's picked up, well, in the last three races he's picked up 2 wins, so he's really brought himself back into this fight. And if he really wants to make a statement on this tier, he could go out and win the last 2 races and seal that P2 for himself.
But that, unless Slinky denies him from that P2. Slinky currently with the fastest lap. It's a 133.4 with 11 minutes to go. So nobody is seems. Oh, there's a Williams. There's a Williams blocking an Aston Martin. I know in the pit. Yeah, now it's gone.
So, I just wanted to go through some stats about the Circuit of the Americas. First Grand Prix in 2012. The lap distance around this circuit is 5.5 kilometers. The race distance, of course, is 50% here, so it's 154.2 kilometers. The current lap, the race lap record here is a the race lap record here is a 136.168, which is held by Charles Leclerc in that 2019 Ferrari. Of course, the track abrasiveness here at COTA is very, very high, so that means that the tyre wear is also very high, so strategy is going to be really interesting to see from these guys. Of course, based off historical data, 33% chance of a safety car, and the pit lane loss here is 22 seconds. So just some little stats there about Circuit of the Americas.
Well, 7 drivers so far were able to set their lap times, except SJM. I don't think that was a full send lap time. And we have another driver in the 133 region, and it's Kamui. Sounds like a Japanese name. Reminds me of Kamui Kobayashi. A 133.9, currently provisionally in second place. 5/10, half a second slower than Slinky, who is still sitting on pole position. And besides, I had the chance to see Slinky in another league last Friday. He joined a league called Valuta Racing Series, and I was able to watch him in that league. He had an incident. Maybe he didn't get used to it, didn't get used to the dynamics of the drivers of this league. But so far, he has the fastest lap, and that's all needed for today if he wants to secure that second place in the championship.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough battle. Like how I said before, Izenox winning the last two out of 3 races. He's going into these last 2 races with a lot of good form, so he's going to be someone to look out for. And someone else who I might throw into the mix is Chris Hallett, of course. The last time, I think, with that second place, he actually moved himself above Dan in the standings. Of course, Dan wasn't here last week. And getting that P1 and P2 lockout for Haas, I think they were only a fastest lap point away from getting maximum points for the team. But yeah, 28 points out of 29 last race for the Haas duo, and yeah, Chris Hallett moving himself up into P3, only 5 points behind Slinky. He's got a really good shot at getting P2 here. As I was just saying that, Wooly actually put himself 6 thousandths ahead of Kamui, and inactive Hekia puts himself in P4, again in another driver in the 133.9s, so 3 drivers currently. But then Luna Jhay puts in off 33.3. Over a tenth faster than Slinky here, so the track is really ramping up.
You know, it's the first time that I see this inactive Heki. Seems like he's a newcomer. Maybe a reserve driver.
Yeah, there are the mid-season sign-ups that happened, I believe, 2 rounds ago. So, of course, any places that need to be filled, whether that be reserves or maybe 1 or 2 full-time drivers and a couple of reserves, they got some people in, and I believe this is his second race. Because I had to look at the standings beforehand, and he's got 1 point, so I believe this is his second appearance here in PSGL F8, so P5 not looking too bad for him at the moment. Of course, over halfway done in this session, and he's sitting P5, so not a bad position for him so far.
Well, ladies and gents, let us know in the chats, who are you supporting, where are you watching from. It's the usual thing, and it's going to be the last 2 races of this season that you're going to be listening to our voices. So chat with us. Now you have the opportunity to do so, because the week after next week, we're not going to be there anymore. Who knows where we're going to be?
Ooh, Dan, out of just nowhere. I wasn't actually on board with him, but 4 tenths on Luno. And the first driver in the 32s. He's setting down a marker for everyone.
Oh.
But then Slinky goes even faster, 32.8.
Slinky bounces back, and when you thought that it was over for him, he manages to find a way to go back.
Yeah, these 2 drivers showing why they are contesting for P2, at least in qualifying. They're showing why they're contesting, because they're so evenly matched in qualifying pace. And Slow Salt, I believe, just crossed the line, put in a 33.642, so a decent lap from Slow Salt. Of course, as his name suggests, his season has been quite slow, but his qualifying has been, his qualifying pace is starting to get up there as we get towards the end of the season. Maybe Cotas is a track that he really enjoys. Who knows?
Well, it's always a track preference. It's always that you perform your best at a track that you like. Besides, I was gonna ask you, based on your data that you talked about earlier, you said that there is a low chance for a safety car. However, I was in a league. I believe it was last summer. I was commentating in a league on a race in Austin, Texas, and it turned out to be one of the dirtiest races I have ever seen. There were a lot of contacts, especially on turn number 13, 14, and 15. Like they were dive bombing, and it was crazy. Do you think we are gonna see this tonight?
I mean, generally in this tier, in past few races, there's been a few safety cars, a few virtual safety cars, but on the whole, it's been quite clean racing. If anything happens, it's genuinely more of a, I'd say more of like a racing incident, or maybe it's not a really opportunistic dive bomb. And it's more just like really close, hard racing between everyone. So we could see maybe one or two safety cars here, just because of the nature of the first sector and the third sector being very much downforce reliant. And it's quite interesting, leading on from that, it's quite interesting how the track is as a dynamic, because Sector 1 and Sector 3, as I said, are really downforce orientated, but then Sector 2 is all about the like top speed and straight line speed. So it's going to be interesting to see how people lean towards with their setups, whether they try to optimize Sector 1 and 2, or whether they optimize the straight line speed. As we know, this monstrous back straight is really where most of the overtakes happen. As I was just on board with Kamui, he did invalidate his lap, but he just spun right there, so it was a good thing that he invalidated his lap, or else the lap would have been ruined with that spin.
And at the same time, the last driver to set his lap time is Izenix. He's going to be going for a fast lap now. Izenix of the McLaren. Well, we can't wait to see the new McLaren livery on the next Formula 1 update, as Izenix enables the DRS, and we are going to take you on board with him for a ride in Austin, Texas. He goes down to third gear, short shifts into fourth on turn 1. Full gas. Now heading into the S region on turn 3, 4, 5, 6. That was a late apex. Good racing line, as he's gonna be heading now into the second sector of the race, into the DRS detection zone. Goes down to second gear, short shift into fourth. That's a bit strange.
Yeah, that corner, you definitely want to maximize your traction and just try and get the best exit possible. But short shift into fourth is very, very interesting.
I've never seen that. I've never seen drivers short shift twice. I mean, what is going to happen with the turbo lag?
It seems like it's a solid lap so far for Xenox. I didn't catch any of the sector splits because, well, he hasn't actually set a previous lap to this, so he wouldn't have had any. But as he gets to the final corner, quite an easy corner to invalidate, but he gets it all good, whether it be
Ooh.
P3 for him. 33-0.
Misses pole by nearly 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, it was quite a good lap. Chris Hallett, I think, abandoned his lap. He may have invalidated. He did. So P9 is the highest he will start. Next person to cross the line is Xenon, but he's going quite slow, so this will not be an improvement on his time. The next person after that is inactive Hekia, who's into the pit lane. Next person after that is Aki, who's also invalidated. Wooly is just coming up to the last two corners. Just over a 10th improvement for him, so could see him move above Chris Hallett. What time will it be? It's enough to move him up into P7 at 1:33.6. Robin puts in a 1:33.864.
Who is this Robin? Seems like a new guy.
That is Robin Wesley.
Oh,
Slinky, no, Slinky just spun. Sorry to cut you off there, but Slinky going into the windy third sector has just spun, and he won't be starting higher than P2. Izenox bails into the pits after invalidating. Slow Salt is going round the triple apex right-hander, and he gets to the final corner here. Nicely taken the last corner. What time will it be for Slow Salt? Only moves him up one place above Wooly, and I believe there's still two more to go. TRD, Xenon, and SJM. SJM bails into the pits and will be starting last, and Xenon as well bails into the pits and starts 14th. So Robin, pole position here in Kota.
I'm surprised
with Slinky in P2 and Dan in P3.
I'm surprised how he changed his PSN. That was surprising. I was like, who's that Robin guy? I've seen that name before. I've heard that name before. Who's that guy?
I think he must have joined a new team.
BNLRE. It's a Dutch team. I know some people in this team. It's a very professional one.
3 of the 4 people fighting for P2 are in the top 4 in Slinky, Dan, and Izenox. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how these 3 people start this race and where they finish.
So, ladies and gents,
we have Robin, BNLRE Robin taking pole position here with Slinky in P2, Dan in P3, Izenox in P4, Azeri Bow in P5, Provatox in P6, Luno in P7, Slow Salt in P8. Do you want to take us through the rest?
Sure. In 9th place is Wooly, followed by Kamui. In 11th, Chris Hallett, followed by Hekie, who is a new name. Trust ZQ in 13th, Xenon 14th, Chris, followed by SJM, last but not least. I've noticed that there's a missing name that has been missing the past few races, and it's V19. Do you remember him?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where he is now, but we would like to tell him hello, wherever he is. Again, ladies and gents, now you have enough time to run to the kitchen, grab yourselves your favorite snacks and drinks, because doctors recommend that watching TV is 10 times more enjoyable with snacks around. And if you're on a diet, it could be a diet snack. Again, let us know in the chats, who are you supporting, where are you watching from. Ask us any questions, because these are the last 2 weeks that you're gonna hear us.
So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a dry start to this race. Not sure how it's going to play out at the end. But for the most part, we see it's a dry start here. So it's very interesting. It's interesting to see how the strategies are played out. And here we have the 5 red lights coming on. 5 red lights on, 5 red lights off, and we're on the way here at Kota, and Dan gets a very good start running outside, finds himself in P1, and Xenox makes contact with the rear of Slinky, and I believe Xenox may have some damage. He gets a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Slinky, and he's missing his front right end plate, and Wooly also gets 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Slow Salt. So quite a bit of contact going through turn 1, and we actually see Luna Jayhey right at the back. And there's a virtual safety car already, not even through the first sector.
So that was an eventful start of the race. It's a full course yellow now. Dan, who took advantage of what happened on the first, and the flags go green. We resume racing. It's going to be an excellent start from Dan. Take a look at the drivers. They're very close. There's less than a second separating each driver and the one following. And I'm on board with Robin Weisling, who dropped down to 3rd place. Thought he was going to go for the move. He hesitated. And what do we have here?
Well, I'm just looking at Provotox here. It's going side by side. Oh, contact! Ooh, contact between ZQ, Provotox, and Inactive Hekia. And yeah, his Provotox is really losing the rear end, but he manages to keep it on track. But contact between Provotox, ZQ, and I believe Inactive Hekia, and we already see 3 people. Whoa, Provotox nearly overshoots the pit entry there. Inactive Hekia is in the pits as well. So 5 people already in the pits.
Izenix as well.
Yeah, a lot of front wings being changed. Wooly is in, I believe, changing his front wing and getting rid of that 5-second penalty which he got from contact with Slow Salt.
I'm taking a look at the mini-map. There's a stopping car. It's the Alpine of ZQ. Was stopped on turn 3. Seems he had contact with Chris. And taking a look at the chats, we have Jim Hallett supporting Chris Hallett for another strong finish. I assume it's his brother. And we have Wizzy supporting the LFR team, which means Dan and Slinky. So if you take a look, the first 2 drivers are LFR drivers. So do you think we might see team orders between them, even though they belong to 2 different manufacturers? That would be interesting.
I definitely do not think there will be team orders between those 2. If they were part of the same team, like if they were both part of Williams or Aston Martin, we might see it. But actually, no, we wouldn't, because these 2 are both fighting for P2 in the championship. So even if they were part of the same team, I would not see any team orders in this situation, as Slinky puts in the fastest lap. But Chris Hallett actually goes even faster, a 10th faster I believe, so Chris Hallett's showing a pace, and now DRS is enabled, and Chris Hallett is going to be working so hard to try and get out of the DRS zone of Isaiah Bow and try and get into the DRS range of Robin. But he's got 7 attempts to make up to try and get to the back of Robin, and he's very, very nearly got Isaiah Bow out of the DRS. And we see 2 more people come into the pits, Kamui and ZQ, who both put the mediums on. And I've just noticed now, Provotox has got the softs on. So it's a very interesting strategy there from Provotox.
I mean, we're still on the 3rd lap of the race, as I'm currently on board now with Robin Wiesling. Using the DRS, he's sparing the ERS this time. I don't know why, strange. Could have helped him, however he didn't use it. So it's still Dan who is leading the race, followed by Slinky. And 3 tenths behind them, it's Robin Wiesling. I thought he was gonna go for it. Oh, Slinky shut the door closed.
Yeah, very, very close between Robin and Slinky. Just going through all the drivers, looking at the ERS at the moment. So out of the top 3, it's actually Dan who's got the best, although he's used some of it there, and Chris Hallett still the fastest man on the track, improved on his previous fastest lap time without any DRS, and 2 of the front 3 have the DRS, but they're too busy fighting each other. I've just noticed Robin is getting very, very close to the back of Slinky within 2 temps here. And there is yellows in Sector 3, and I believe that is inactive Hekia. And Xenox actually puts 4 temps on Chris Hallett's fastest lap. Provodox goes even faster than that. He is on the soft tyres though. And these soft tyres do not last long around here.
And currently on board with Robin Whistling. Is it going to be executed this time as he enables the DRS? Slinky does the same thing. They're both attacking the driver in front. It's the battle for P1. Is it going to go on this lap? It's not going to go on this lap. Dan keeps P1. Slinky keeps P2.
Yeah, I just was watching Robin there and he looked like he was braking very, very late there, but he's still within 5 temps of Slinky ahead. Dan is actually... Oh, Dan!
Ay, 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 ay.
I was literally just about to say Dan is doing a very good job of keeping ahead.
Commentators curse.
Yeah, commentators curse for Dan. And yeah, it's really unfortunate to see for Dan, of course, fighting for P2 with Slinky. And now Slinky is in a very good position, but Robin just looks very, very quick here. And he's, of course, he made that mistake. He just made a mistake at turn 1 there, but going down the straights, Robin looks very, very quick, and maybe like he can get a move done on Slinky. He has looked like a quicker driver than Slinky down the straight, so maybe his setup is more top speed orientated. But Chris Hallett is actually right in this battle now. So what started as a free car battle for P1, Dan spun out, but now Chris Hallett is right back into this. And there's still a 3-car battle. Might even be 4 cars with Isaiah Bow just outside of the DRS. And Slow Salt just within the DRS.
Oh, Robin Whistling sends it in. Slinky defends round the outside line. How?
Yeah, Robin is a very, very aggressive driver. He likes a little send, likes a little bit of contact. He doesn't like that.
Well, these are not things you would do to. These are not things you would do to your fellow racing drivers. You might do these things somewhere else. A gentle tap on the back, but not here. Wow.
Yeah, and now, because of all of this fighting, Isaiah Bow and Slow Salt have caught up to these. So now it's a 5-car train from P1 to P5 here. It's only lap 6. It's only lap 6.
You know, we've got a message from Mike saying, man, I was about to say commentator curse, but you guys were faster.
Yeah, it's a very, very common thing here with commentators. We always try to pick out someone who is doing well and then
ruin his life.
Yeah, ruins the race. But yeah, hopefully Dan can recover this and keep the fight for P2 very much alive. And it's very much looking like Slinky could have one hand on the P2 if it stays like this, but Chris Hallett is not far behind at all. Robin is just so quick on the straights, dives down the inside, gets P1 secured. So this is very telling for which setup direction Robin has gone for. Maybe he's gone definitely for more top speed, while Slinky has gone for more downforce.
And he was
you
able
definitely
to
see Robin, he drifts so wide at this triple apex right-hander, whereas Slinky is able to keep it tight to all apexes.
And man,
but yeah, Robin P1
is
very interesting dynamic for this race.
Robin was able to build a 7/10 gap in only one sector. So it seems he's a lot faster than Slinky. Yet he's lower on ERS.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the gap is like going through this first sector, and I'm actually not quite sure on what's up because he's just gained time here. He's gained a lot of time through sector 1. We'll have to see what the straight line speed is for both of them. Robin goes very wide on the entry to hairpin.
And in the midst of all of that fighting, Chris Hallett is catching up to Slinky. Currently on board with Chris Hallett, 4/10 behind Slinky. Slinky is also receiving DRS.
Whoa. Very, very close. He just very nearly went into Robin, did Slinky, but yeah, still the top 3 have dropped Izeri Bow now, who is outside of that 1 second margin. I just want to have a quick look further down the field as Dan he's still in P8, but he's within DRS range of SJM now. So starting to bring back the recovery drive here for Dan. Just going even further back, we've got Wooly on the back of Provatox. SJM actually, as we're talking about him, gets a 3-second time penalty. But Wooly is getting very close to the back of Provatox. 5/10 is now the gap between Provatox and Wooly. So that's about to keep our eye on as the race develops. And just going back on board with the leaders, it's under a second between, well, just over a second now between the top 3 drivers. So these top 3 are really showing the pace. They're really bringing it, and it's only 8 laps in, still 21 laps to go, including this one. So this race is far from over.
I'm going to be on board now with Chris Hallett, who seemed to have a better exit than Slinky. Chris Hallett with the DRS enabled. Only 3/10 separating the 2 drivers. Slinky also pulling up by using the DRS generated from Robin Whistling. Oh, it's not going to happen now. And I thought Slinky was going to crash into Robin's rear. He's lucky enough to be able to stop his car before the impact happens. And in the wow. That was a wonderful overtake from Dan.
Yeah, very, very good overtake there. Moves himself up into P7. But all of that battling with SJM, the gap is 7 seconds back from Xenon.
Take a look at Wooly. Wooly getting very close to the Mercedes of Provatox. Provatox with a bad exit on turn number 12. It's not going to happen on this one. And Slinky now is catching up. Only 3/10 to Robin.
Yeah, Wooly getting very close to getting an overtake done on the inside on Provatox there. But it just wasn't enough, and well, at this point I think it may actually be Provatox is holding up Wooly, but Provatox
goes to the pits.
Dives into the pits after only 6 laps on those soft tyres. Maybe he's going to the hards to the end of the race now, but we'll just keep an eye on what tyres he selects. Yep, it is the hard tyres, so maybe he'll be looking to go to the end of the race from here.
On board once again with Chris Hallett, 3/10 separating him against Slinky, but Slinky pulls away from him. Slinky using the DRS generated from Robin to pull away from Chris Hallett, so that's still helping him. And I'm not sure if wanting to be first is the thing that if being first is the thing that you want to be, because the driver behind you is still gonna get DRS on that straight.
Yeah, I think it's very, very good strategy here from Slinky. Just keeping within the DRS of Robin, but not overtaking him, because he wants to keep behind Robin so for the end of the race, because the only time you want to be first is after the main DRS straight here. If you're in first after that, you got a very, very good chance of finishing in P1, and we have yellow flags, which I believe is Chris. URL Chris.
So 10 laps so far. Robin Weisling is leading the race. 8 tenths behind Slinky and Chris Hallett in third. 4 tenths behind. That's it for the top three so far. And looks like Robin is pulling away. Same thing. Robin pulls away a little bit until Slinky takes the time back. And oh, an Alpha Tauri. I think it's Xenon.
Yeah, Slinky is still catching. He was actually a bit further back this time from Robin. Breaks a little bit later than Robin just to try and close up that gap, but it's still nearly 7 tenths. Over 7 tenths now is the gap. So Robin really looking to try and push out of the DRS range of Slinky. It's going to be very interesting.
I would like to ask you, do you think the first 4 drivers are going to mimic each other's strategies?
I'm not too sure because, well, obviously the top 4 are on hard tyres as well as Xenon, Dan, SJM, Chris, Provotox, and Inactive. But the top 4 could very well be going for a similar strategy here, which I believe is either a hard medium or even a hard soft. I would like to think it's a hard medium. Going round here, and Chris gets 5 seconds.
Oh, he's out.
Chris, I'm not sure what.
He retired in the pits.
Yeah, but there is full course yellow.
This game,
Did
man.
Chris crash in the pit lane?
No, I don't think so. He retired in the pit.
Not sure what happened here with the full course yellow.
And this might be a game changer in terms of strategies. Let's see if the top 4 drivers are going to be doing anything about that.
Oh no. It's just ended, so they were in the wrong place at the wrong time there. Of course, some of the drivers towards the back were in a good place to pit under the virtual safety car.
And during that time, Robin Weisling was able to build up a 1.1 second gap to Slinky, his closest rival.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for Slinky to close his gap, but he's using his ERS, trying to close up as much as he can, but he's still not within that 1 second margin. As I say that, he actually gets under it. If he can keep this for the DRS zone, he's going to pull himself right back into it, right back behind him. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. It does look like he will get the DRS, and Chris Hallett will get DRS here as well. Just looking back to Isaiah Bow, the gap's nearly 3 seconds to the back of Chris Hallett. I just want to see how much time Slinky gains on Robin here. Started a straight 8 tenths back. How much time will he gain? Nearly 3.5 tenths gained, and Chris Hallett actually loses time to Slinky down the straight. He actually lost about a tenth and a half to Slinky. That's interesting to see, because obviously it plays into which direction in setups everyone went.
Well, Slinky is doing very good so far. Our stream, however, is missing the Slinky army. They're not seen anywhere anymore. Maybe because they wanted him to win the championship and they were disappointed when he didn't win the championship. Well, Slow Salt in 5th place, looking to catch up to Isaiah Bow as 8 tenths only separating them. He's running on a different strategy. 12 laps on the mediums. How many laps do you think the mediums can take on a track like Austin?
I don't think it'll be many more than 12 laps, as it is a high abrasive track. The tyre wear is high here. So I could maybe see them going 2 or 3 more laps on the mediums. And then he'll want to... Actually, I could see Slow Salt pitting around this lap or next lap onto the hard tyres. And I could see the leaders maybe... I could actually see the leaders maybe go to lap... Will try to get to the soft tyres for their last stint. Because obviously, they don't last long, they aren't at that peak performance for long. But if they're on the lowest fuel there will be, at the end of this race, they will want to be on a faster tyre, and that is a soft tyre.
That's because soft tire plus low fuel gives you less weight and faster car.
Yep. And just want to have a quick look at the fastest lap here, and it's still held by Provatox when he was on a soft tyre. And the closest person to him is actually Izanox with a 1:37.3, but Provatox has a 1:37.1. Getting very close to that lap record set by Charles Leclerc in 2019 around here, so could see someone beat that. Of course, still got a second to find from the current fastest lap. But I think towards the end of this race, when we see some people on the soft tyres, we may well see someone beat that lap record. Of course, it won't count as a lap record because it is in the game, but it's just something interesting and fun to see if anyone can actually beat that lap record.
Oh, Provatox.
Provatox has retired in the pit lane.
Another commentator's curse.
Another commentator's curse, just talking about him having the fastest lap, and he's out.
Well, Max Verstappen is a very good driver, and I like the way he wins every week. And wow, that is mental. So every time we talk good about any driver, wow.
Of course, we've still got this Monza Ferrari livery with the yellow on it, which I have to say I do love the yellow on the Ferrari, especially on the rear wing. The yellow lettering of the Ferrari, it just looks very, very good.
Well,
and I was actually just looking at Robin right now, and he is very low on the ERS, only 11% for him. Slinky is nearly on 50%. Chris Hallett behind is on 30%. So Robin may be at a big disadvantage now, just because of his ERS usage. Of course, with the fast flowing nature of this track, it's very, very difficult to get the ERS back.
Take a look at Chris Hallett getting very close to Slinky. He's going to go side by side next to him as he's going to send it to the inside line into turn 12. Leaves him no space. Chris Hallett goes through, steals the second place.
Yeah, very, very good move there from Chris, of course. Didn't really leave him racing room on the outside, did Chris? But
that's how you want to do it.
He's showing no remorse here as he's fighting for that P2. Of course, second and third in the drivers' standings. Only 5 points between them. So maybe if Chris can get past Robin into P1, Slinky pits. Slinky pits.
Curious to know what is he going to pit for. Mediums,
I think it will be changing to the mediums.
But
the softs definitely cannot last from here. Yep, he's on to the mediums. The first of the pitters from the top three. Now, will this cause a chain reaction on this lap? Will Robin and Chris Hallett cover off the undercut? Of course, I do believe an overcut is definitely possible because On fresh tyres, your outlap is not going to be good, but Chris is depleting his ERS. The top two are under 10% on their ERS. And Isaiah Bo's getting very close to being under 10% himself.
Well, as your parents teach you as a kid to save your money for your worst days, these drivers need to save their ERS for their worst laps.
A little saying is don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
They've put all their eggs in ERS and now, well, both of them are really struggling, and if there is no safety car, virtual safety car, they're still going to be really, really struggling here. I have to see, does Robin pit? Yes, he does. Does Chris Hallett pit? Yes, he follows him in, so I'm just going to keep my eye on Slinky to see where these two come out compared to him. But as I said before, these new tyres, they take a while to get up to temperature. So we'll just have to see where these guys come out. It looks like Slinky may have got the undercut to work, but they're very close. Actually, no. Slinky just about gets out ahead of Chris Hallett. Actually, no. More contact between the two.
Oh, Chris Hallett into the wall.
No. Chris, the contact between Slinky and Chris. But looking at Slinky now, look at his ERS compared to the others. Robin's on 30%, Slinky on 50%, and Chris also on 30%. Of course, Slinky will be on one lap worse tyres than Robin and Chris here. Just purely based on him pitting one lap earlier, maybe that one lap will really, really hinder Slinky just because of the high abrasiveness of this track here.
And Slow Salt has been driving for the past 16 laps on the mediums. His tires must be gone by now. We are on the 17th lap of the race. And yes, exactly, he goes back to the pits. Do you think he's going to pit in for softs?
I don't think softs will go to the end here.
But that would be a...
We'll just have to see.
That would,
Slinky. Oh, 136.9.
Yep.
He's actually gone on to the softs. This is very, very risky strategy here from Slow Salt. Very, very risky. Because his tyres are nearly going to be dead by the end of the race here. Yellow's in sector 3, that is Wooly. I believe. Oh no. Is it Wooly? Yes, it is Wooly. He's into the pits. SJM at 36.8 on the medium tyre. So he's showing some pace. Maybe just wasn't not comfortable on the hard tyres, but as soon as he switches to the mediums, he is showing some pace, showing some life in this Alfa Romeo.
These drivers are going to be squeezing the softs. If it's Slow Salt or Wooly. I mean, they're going to be driving around 11 laps on the softs. That is too much.
Yeah, it's not been a very good race here for Wooly, and of course, he was in the fight for P2 as well as Izenox, Dan, Chris Hallett, and Slinky. Speaking of Slinky, we should go on board with him because he's getting close to Robin now. Wooly, 3-second time penalty just as we're done talking about him. And Slinky, wow. Robin gets a 3-second time penalty now.
Spice things up.
And Slinky puts in a fastest lap. Chris Hallett, with that fastest lap, beats the lap record set by Charles Leclerc in 2019. But I don't think it's done just yet. I think there will be even faster laps from these guys.
Another yellow flag. And it's clear now. So 10 laps to go. Robin is still leading the race, but is he going to be able to carry on till the end? That question is going to be answered by Slinky, who is only 7/10 behind.
During the initial phase of the tyres, Slinky seems to have a better hold on them. But as we get later into the stint, seems like, well, quite the opposite to the nature of Robin's driving, quite aggressive. He seems to be quite easy on the tyres and saves some life of them for later on in the stint. As we saw before, he was able to be even quicker than, well, the peak of the stint. He was able to extend the peak of the tyres and can go even faster later on in the stints. So very nice work there on his tyres from Robin. But Slinky seems to be keeping up with Robin right now, but might be a completely different story by the end of the race.
And Dan is catching up back again, as he's now 4/10 behind Xenon of the Alpha Tauri.
Yeah, it's a good recovery drive here from Dan, of course, leading the race after going around the outside of turn 1 on the race start, due to Slinky and Robin battling themselves towards the inside. Dan had the preferred line and managed to get the lead, and of course did spin out, but it's a good recovery drive from him so far in this race. As Dan is now practically pushing Xenon through some of the corners here. Just gonna keep my eye on the battle for P1. Slinky is getting very, very close, but he just does not have enough straight to get the move done. Is very, very close between the two. Just flicking back to Dan. He seems to be gaining. Will he get a move done? It looks inevitable at this point. He does get past Xenon. So again, a very good move there from Dan, making moves, but 9 seconds now to Slow Salt, and Slow Salt is on the soft tyres. Dan has a little moment there, nearly loses control of the car, but does very well to keep control of it there.
So 9 laps to go. It's still Robin Weasling leading the race, half a second behind Slinky, and 5.5 seconds Chris Hallett for the top 3.
It's very interesting to see the lines that each of these drivers take. I was just on board with Slinky, just watching the lines that Robin was taking through Sector 1, and it seems like Robin likes to keep it nice and tight through the first sector, but look at the run Slinky has got. He is not messing around. No ERS being used for Slinky, and he catches up that quickly and takes P1 for the first time this race. Now the question is, does he want to stay here? As Robin goes for a move, but he just doesn't have enough to get it done, and well, Robin is really starting to close up, put the pressure on Slinky here. Of course, Robin has the 3-second time penalty, so maybe he's trying to force Slinky into a mistake, into a track limit violation, so they're on a level playing field. But it looks like Slinky is going to keep this P1 wrapped up in his arms for now.
Only 3/10 separating these two drivers, as we are heading now into the 22nd lap of the race. Slinky was finally able to overtake Robin Weasling, but for how long is the question that we ask ourselves and we ask the viewers. For how long is he going to be able to keep the lead of the race? because now this half a second separating Robin and Slinky is going to become a lot less, especially on the main straight. Oh, a little bit of oversteer from Slinky. On board now with Robin Weisling. Only 2 tenths separating the two drivers. Weisling enabling the DRS is going to be moving to the side of Slinky. The Mercedes, the Williams and the Ferrari are going to go side by side. Robin Weisling made it look so easy.
I think now from this point, if I was Slinky, I'd just try and stick as close as I could behind Robin, wait until the last lap, and then make a move on that back straight, because just looking at that, Robin was able to keep it so close to him throughout the whole lap, and he does not want to risk being in first place going down that straight with on the last lap, just keeping him so close. Does not want to risk being in first for that last lap.
And there's a McLaren, there's a Ferrari. Is it Ferrari or never mind. It's
There's
Red
a
Bull.
Red Bull. Yeah, that is inactive. Heck yeah.
I think I need to get my eyes checked, or I'm just falling asleep because it's late. And they were able to overtake him with the blue flag. I think.
Yeah, just looking at Robin, he's able to extend the gap so much in the first and last sectors, and judging by that, I do believe Slinky may have more of a straight line speed set up here. But just, yeah, you can see from how much he's gaining on Robin that is the case. I'm just very interested to see how Slow Salt and Wooly will fare in the last 1 or 2 laps of this race, being on the soft tyres, and Dan being 9.3, 9.4 seconds back from Slow Salt, now basically 8 seconds. He's gained about 1.5 seconds in about 3 laps. So I don't think that's the pace for him to catch and overtake Slow Salt. But of course, they are teammates. They are both in the Aston Martin. Dan is fighting for P2, so maybe some team orders will come in, but that will only happen once Dan is close enough. And judging by how much he's gained already, I do not think that will happen. I don't think he'll be close enough to get past him by the end of this race.
Well, during that time, Slinky is still under the 1 second gap between him and Robin. He lost some time on sector 1, specifically on turn 5. And now we're going to be heading into the longest straight of the race. At the second DRS zone, Slinky will be enabling the DRS for 10th. He's approaching Robin Weisling. Is it going to be executed this lap? No. You know, it seems that Slinky is struggling a little bit to try to take that first place back.
Yeah, he's been really struggling, and just looking at all of the penalties everyone has, only 4 drivers, sorry, have not got penalties, those being Slinky, Chris Hallett, Slow Salt, and Dan.
Well, you gotta respect them for that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just gonna have a quick look at the penalty situation, or the warning situation, for the drivers who have not got any penalties. So, Slinky has 2 warnings, Chris Hallett has 2 warnings as well, Slow Salt on 1 warning, and Dan is also on 2 warnings. So 3 out of the 4 drivers are on 2 warnings. So Slinky, Chris Hallett, and Dan have got to be playing it very, very cautious now into the last 4 laps of this race. But Slow Salt can afford 1 more track limit violation, can afford one more. If he gets two more, that is a 3-second time penalty. And now we're back onto this main straight. Slinky has the DRS enabled. No ERS usage from him. How close will he get? Within 4 attempts. Nearly 3 attempts. But he just cannot get close enough. But he doesn't need to overtake Robin. Of course, Robin with that 3-second time penalty, Slinky can just stick behind him. He could really drop back quite a bit from Robin and just play it safe, but we know Slinky, he always wants to win the race on track, and I have no doubt come the end of the race he will be pushing he'll just be putting everything on the line to try and get this win on track.
Well, with 3 laps to go, Luno Jehey overtakes SJM on the long straight and successfully takes the 9th place on turn 12. What a move from Luno.
Yeah, it's a very, very good move from Luno, of course. Moving himself up a spot and giving himself one more point, putting him on 2 points. Just looking at the fastest lap, I do believe it is still Chris Hallett who holds it. Yeah, 36.0 for him, so he will be getting that extra fastest lap point. And, well, looking at this point last lap, Robin has pulled 3 attempts on Slinky. And by the end of the straight, Slinky will just about be within, well, nearly within 6 or 5 attempts there, but the gap is 6.5 attempps. But look at the way that Robin is just getting through this first and last sector. He is so smooth on the steering, not scrubbing any speed at all. And this gap is just growing and growing. Maybe it might even get to the point where Slinky isn't in the DRS of Robin. So it's going to be quite difficult. And there we go, for a moment he was outside of the 1 second mark, but still gets DRS. Of course, the detection point is just on the exit of the triple right-hander. So if you're within a second by the detection point, you're going to get the DRS, which is the rear wing flap opening, reducing the drag and giving you a big boost in a straight line.
But as long as he's under the 3-second gap, this race is going to be his to win.
Yeah, it's looking this way as we're on the last 2 laps of this race. He's actually, well, the gap is about the same as it was at this point last lap. And now Slinky using the DRS, trying to get as closer. Not going to be enough, but he doesn't need this overtake. He does not need to do it. And, well, Robin, you can see the red light flashing on the back of the car means he's under 10%. And he's right on the border of it, as well as Slinky. Chris Hallett as well, on the edge of being under 10%. But pretty much every driver,
except
apart
for
from SJM.
And inactive.
Yeah, and inactive.
He's a ghost.
Yeah, I think he has been in Ghost
as Robin
for
Weasley,
the majority of this race, I believe.
As Robin Weasley has just started the final lap of the race. 28 laps so far. It started with carnage. It's gonna end in a clean race so far, unless we curse it somehow.
Yeah, if it stays like this, Slinky's gap to Chris Hallett will be 11 points. But Chris Hallett is getting close, actually. He needs to make up 1 point, or about 1.5 seconds to actually get ahead of Robin. Because of the 3-second gap, he needs to make up 1.5 seconds. He's only got 2 sectors to do it. It's going to be a big ask from Chris Hallett here. Unless there's a big mistake, because Sector
Yellow flag.
1 yellows. That is
McLaren.
Xenox. A man competing for P2 in this race. After this race, I think it will be over for him, but Sector 2, do believe that was still from Xenox. I do believe Chris Hallett, well, I think it's out of his hands now whether he can overtake Robin because of his penalty. He needs a mistake from Robin in these last two corners, but it does not look like it will happen, as Robin is just going round the final corner. It will be him that wins it on track, but Slinky with the 3-second time penalty from Robin. Slinky spins into the wall, but it does not matter as contact between Chris. Chris has broken his front right. But yeah, with Robin crossing the line P1 on track, it is Slinky that wins the race. And the Aston Martin gives him a little cheeky tap.
You know, I'm not sure whether we're playing Formula 1 or Roblox at this point.
I think we might be playing Wreckfest here.
Wreckfest.
Not sure what's going on with Slice Alt's AI car here. He's just frantically steering left, and well, Slinky's front left tire has just got a mind of its own right now.
And Luno J here is gonna be losing his 9th place because... Oh no.
Oh!
He was able to get it.
There's carnage on the line. Whoa! There's carnage.
Well,
my God, what has happened?
the racing line is hidden now.
I think Kamui is just trying to... Oh, okay, yep. He just went through the back of SJM. Just gonna see what ZQ does. He manages to navigate his way around. Yep. It's a very, very entertaining race here with Robin winning on track. But it is Slinky that wins the race because of a penalty.
Now champagne showers in Austin, Texas, ladies and gents. Slinky was... Oh. Slinky is a female? Not gonna assume genders, everyone can be whatever they want. So, ladies and gents, it's Slinky who wins in Austin, Texas, therefore securing his P2 in the championship. Second place, Robin Weisling, followed by Chris Hallett. Outside of the podium, Slow Salt, Dan, Izeribo, and Xenon. In 8th place, Xenox was very unlucky today. Luno J. Hay and SJM. Would you please continue?
Yep, so we've got Wooly in P11, Kamui P12, ZQ in 13th, Inactive Hekia in 14th, and then two non-finishers here, Provatox and URL Chris.
Well, ladies and gents, that was it for tonight's race. We hope to see you next week for one final dance. This is Salim Haddad and Speed Quinn. We are gonna kiss you goodnight. Bye bye.
Ew.
Man, I'm so tired. I'm